clean. This thing is caked in dust. You
Drain
can't even
that
get the
tank
dust off.
If there's any gas in it, drain that tank too.
Well, last time I messed with it when I was working for you, I did drain the tank.
Okay.
And I flushed it, and I put stuff through the lines, but the carburetor was a little bit junked up, but it was still ran. But
I think it was a choke cable or throttle cable. Something was stuck on there, I remember.
yeah, at this point, it's gonna definitely need a rebuild.
Yeah.
But yep.
So $4,000 piece of machine.
Well, between carrying and dragging, we made it. Man, this thing is just so dirty. Devin, what size deck is this thing? 32? That's bigger than 32. It's like 40 or almost 50. It's a big walk behind. Well, the ride home did wonders for this thing. Dusted right off. I was still gonna give her a quick rinse off. Oh, I got shit in my mouth. Oh, damn it. Alright, a little bit of purple power and some water goes a long way. There is some rust up here on the deck area, but it's really not too bad. Wheels actually came out pretty clean. This motor area usually gets kind of greasy, so there's no real rust around this area. You can actually see the stickers now. Now, I used to run this machine at a large apartment complex when I worked for my buddy Devin. I used to run this machine about once a week. It was a great runner. Smoked a little bit when it started, but it ran good, cut good. And now that I'm doing my own thing, I need a good mower, and this is going to be it. So this is going to be my money maker once I pay it off. So we're going to go ahead and start cleaning this thing up. Now, I did cheat a little bit about, I don't know, 3 years ago. I don't know how long ago. A couple years ago, I cleaned the tank out. You can't see it right now. Get a light in there, but I cleaned this tank out. It is minty fresh in there. I put new lines on it. You can see I put a new valve on there, just to be able to cut the fuel on and off. I put a new fuel filter on there. Here, let's go look at that. Put a new fuel filter on there too. You can see this is totally gone black, so this obviously needs to come off. I'm going to put new lines again. I'm going to clean that valve out and reuse that. Hopefully I can be able to reuse this thing. I might have to replace that. And I'm going to take the carburetor bowl off, and we're going to go ahead and try to clean that out, clean the jets out and everything. But hopefully it should run, because not very long ago I had this mower running. Like I said, it was maybe, you know what, it might have been 2 years ago. Might have been maybe 2 years ago at the most. So this mower ran not too long ago. So hopefully we'll be able to get it running again. Alright, so we are back in action with the hydrostatic walk behind mower, and we are looking disgusting. That is the worst carburetor bowl I've ever seen in my life. Some piss yellow gasoline came out of there, and the fuel filter, the black guitar, is not looking good. So we're gonna go ahead and pull the jets out of there and see if we can try to save this carburetor. So we've come to an interesting, what would you call that?
Situation.
An interesting situation. This thing won't come off. Piece of crap. Man, now we have to drill that out just to get the air filter off. This is ridiculous. We got it. Oh, that air filter looks wonderful.
Right.
It's growing hair. Hey, it takes a long time to get that old to grow hair on your air filter. Are those same studs holding the carb on too?
Yeah, it'll all slide off. So I need to get the fuel line off and
Throttle linkage.
throttle linkage.
Oil's not that thin. Smells like old gasoline. Yummy. Alright, another day, another dollar. We are back out here with the Exmark Turf Tracer. We got a whole bunch of new parts here. This is a brand new carburetor. Comes with the valve and also a bunch of clamps. Comes with a new filter, but I think I'm going to use the filter that I already have. I have another brand new filter somewhere. And I got a full kit. This is air filter, oil filter, and a set of spark plugs. I think that's it. That's all that's in there. So we are going to go ahead and try to get this thing back going. Just did a little cut scene of draining the oil out of this thing, and it's not oil. There is maybe a little tiny bit of oil in there, but this is looking bad. This is mostly gasoline. So I don't know how if this thing was run on gasoline. I mean, I know I said earlier in the video this thing is, I ran it not too long ago. I checked it and it did have oil in the dipstick. Now maybe somebody is trying to play a prank on me. I don't know. But this thing was filled with gasoline at some point. So we're gonna go ahead and drain everything out, make sure it's flushed. I'm gonna put some cheap oil that I've got, go through it, flush it. Then I'm gonna change the oil filter and everything and put the new synthetic oil that I've got in it. So we're gonna go ahead and put the carburetor, oil filter, and all that, and flush all this out. And we're gonna go through that now. Alright, scraped the old gasket off there, went over it with a wire brush just to finish it off. So gasket scraper. You gotta try not to scratch it up too bad. It's pretty hard not to, but that thing was pretty stuck on there. There's gonna be a little bit of fumbling around. My brother helped me take this off, and I'm not sure exactly how it goes back. Gimme. Gaskets. That's what I need. Alright then. This is different. I think I have to pull that out. You can see that. Alright, so I did a little bit of prying, ended up almost completely crushing this thing, so I just fixed it back to what it was. And so I did a little bit of test fitting, and it actually fits this intake box just fine with that piece still in there. I don't know if you can see it. Fits just fine, so I reckon I'm gonna leave that on there. I do need to clean this thing up. I'm gonna clean that up real quick. But we can throw this thing on and throw our gaskets on. Alright, I've gone ahead and gave that thing a quick rinse off. We're ready to install the gaskets and the new carburetor. Dusty. Supposed to be another gasket. So I'm sitting here wrenching on this thing, putting that carburetor on. I threw a little bit of oil in here, and I got to thinking, with all this new discovery of gasoline and the oil, maybe I should try to turn it over, because I took him for his word. This motor ran last time I worked for him, and I never tried it. And I just tried it, and it is locked. Slam. Locked, slam up. I don't know if it's the cylinders or if it's the bearings on the bottom end, if this thing grenaded. Usually when it's seized up like that and it just won't move, usually it's the cylinders. So I guess I'm gonna pop these spark plugs off and shoot some grease in there. Maybe I can get up underneath of it and turn the crankshaft back and forth. I really hope this thing ain't blown up. Pulled both spark plugs out, and it looks like there is some old gas sitting in both cylinders. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to spray some carburetor cleaner, then this PB blaster right here, and let it soak in there for a few days, and we'll come back to this thing. Alright, so since this thing is locked up, I'm gonna go ahead and drag it up to my shop. well, shop slash shed. I went ahead and broke the wheel motors loose. The one on the other side, the passenger drywall left side, gave me a lot of trouble. It was quite stuck. I had to give it some PV blaster and work it back and forth for about 15 minutes. But we have got her free, got the tractor hooked up. Alright, now that I've dragged this thing into my project shop, which is completely overwhelmed at the moment, I need to go ahead and get this cart ready so I can take a lot of these tools that I constantly use and just make a work cart out of this thing. The wheel is just dismantled itself, so we need to put a new wheel on there. I'm gonna have to drill a couple holes. That's why I got my drills and stuff here. I'm gonna do that real quick, and then we're gonna move on to the teardown. While we're on quarantine, you go ahead and keep your protection nearby. Let's get to work. I'm gonna have to extra clip. I'm gonna have to use these vice grips. These bolts over here are rusted completely out. No surprise. They're just so trash. I'm gonna try to put my own bolts in there. Kind of sucks. This cart's been sitting under my dad's house for who knows how long. I think he forgot it was under there. I don't think this is gonna work. It's a little bit smaller, it looks like, the plate. Yeah, a lot smaller. I went ahead and ran up to the store because these wheels, the brackets didn't line up. These brackets are much smaller by about ½ inch both directions. Smaller. So I was hoping to see if I could get away with not drilling these out. So I went and picked up, well, tried to pick up some wheels that might be a direct replacement, but no luck. So I just bought an extra one because I don't know, this one, it still rolls, but it's just so crusty. I figured while I was there, before this wheel falls apart, might as well put a new buttery. Oh, look how smooth that thing is. It's buttery smooth. Alright. Bring you back when we're taking apart the mower. Alright, so I got my breaker bar down there. I've got a 5/8 socket on there. I'm getting ready to try to break it free before I tear the motor all apart. I went ahead and took the top cover off. So I wanted to stop messing with that thing before I break it. I want to go ahead and see if I can clean this thing all up on the top end. I'm going to take the cover off the top of the motor. But first we're going to see if this thing can crack free and save me from tearing down this whole motor. Might be able to just run some cleaner through there and try to get a season out of this mower. Alright, got you guys set up so you'll be able to see the moment the motor breaks free, or the moment the mower crushes my arm, because I should have grabbed a jack stand. I have one up front. Man, I don't think this motor is going to come back. Not without a teardown. I'm getting some movement. Oh, so we can not turn. Oh, is that thing moving? I can't see. So, this is not the most fun position. Oh yeah, she's turning. She's turning. All right. Keep on working on this. Get this thing broken free a little bit better. Should be able to turn a lot easier. So after a lot of PB blaster, crank. Now it does seem a little bit stiff, but I don't know. I think it's pumping the hydraulics, so that might be the reason why it's so much on this drill. So once it's going, it goes pretty good, and I don't hear much drag in the cylinders anymore. I'm gonna do this for a little while. Made my own gasket. So I threw some new lines on this fuel pump, I believe it is, and I've got hopefully just enough line to finish running back here, get rid of this old nasty, totally black filter. That thing did look like one of these. So we're gonna go ahead and get that thing swapped out. And I also have the brand new carburetor, which also comes with a spare filter, and it also has a valve. There's one of those new valves down in there. And I got the new gaskets, one of which I copied and made my own gasket. I just showed. So while the kids are out playing on the four-wheeler that I fixed for them, I get to get back to work. Yep, laugh it up. Well, I've put all new fuel lines back on this thing. I've got them all connected to the new fuel filter, the new valve, petcock valve. I'm going to go ahead and throw some zip ties when I get this thing all back together. Threw some fresh gas in there. Let it drain out a little bit to make sure there's no junk still in the tank. Well, oh no, I flushed the tank out is what I did. Flushed the tank out, hooked the line up to the new filter. I've got the carburetor installed. Kind of see, brand new carburetor. I put the intake on, well, the basket for the intake, and I think that's about it. I got my cover, painted that same color. I painted the cover for my tractor, what I redid, and hopefully it'll be good luck. Same paint, same ordeal, trying to bring this thing back to life. Well, we're about to do our first start, so I'm going to throw the cover on, and then we're going to grab this little pull start and the sad pull start and try to redo this. Other than that rusty pull string that I'm gonna have to pull back off and paint it, this thing is looking pretty good. We got the nice clean butterfly, fresh carburetor, clean paint job on there. Let's give her a shot. Alright, pull string on. I have adjusted it. Now we're gonna go ahead and check for spark. See if you can be able to see it from here. We are getting spark. Dripped a little bit of gas in there, and she acted like she wanted to start. So let's see if we can try that again and capture it on video. So key on. Ooh, she kicked. So we're on the right track. She's almost there. Alright, another day, another dollar, and we were having fuel issues last night. I kept trying to get this thing started, and dumping a little bit of fuel in this thing was able to get it to crank over a couple of times. But it would not stay running, and it wouldn't run more than what fuel I put in it. So I disconnected the fuel lines and was checking. There was no fuel flow after this pump. So the pump, I believe, was seized up. Not surprised, all that junky stuff that was in there. This pump is seized. So I put a brand new Briggs & Stratton or a McCuney fuel pump, whatever you want to call it. I put the air filter on last night, so this thing is all ready to go. I also did a little bit more. I painted this cover up right here. It still looks a little bit rough because it was actually starting to rust, and like it was getting like surfaced crust. So went ahead and scrubbed as much of it off as I could, and put some fresh paint on top of it. I even spray painted the nuts. I also repainted the muffler, and I only used regular paint on that. I'm sure it's probably going to be temporary. It'll probably bake off, but I'm going to get some high temp paint for that later. But I just didn't want to put it on there all crusty. Well, I just got it running for a second. I should have put that on video, but let's go ahead and give her another shot. Turn the key on, and we've got the pull start bolted on, intake, carburetor, fuel lines are all done. We've got gas in it. It's already ran once. I bolted up the muffler just simply because it seemed like it was revving really high. I don't know if it's because it was just running wide open exhaust, or I don't know. There's a little adjustment right here, so we're gonna figure it out. I might have to do some carburetor adjusting, get the idle back down, and go from there. But it's running, so let's get it started again. Running much better. But it's smoking. Maybe it'll clear up. I think I'm gonna tighten up the wheel motors and drive this thing out of here. Alright, so finishing up the oil change. Put in the nice Kawasaki 1040 full synthetic. Set off to the side, and we'll give her a last start. Give her a last start and let her run a little bit. It did seem like it didn't want to rev up very much. It might be low on power. It might not have very good compression, but she is running, so I'm gonna let her run for a little while. Maybe I can run something through it that'll help it clean up and maybe run a little bit better. But right now she is running, so we're gonna go ahead and let it run a little bit. I did do the wheel motors. I tightened it down so I can drive it out of here. We're all ready to go. I am prepared to give it a test. She's been idling for a little while. We are about to take her on a maiden voyage. I'm gonna put her on my trailer. I got a tractor, a push mower on there. That's all for backup. I'm gonna put this thing to work today. So I'm gonna grease those spindles up and clean out underneath the deck and send it. All right, guys. Until next time, please subscribe. Hit me up in the comments and let me know what you think about my mower. Deuces.